What's up, everybody? It's Clark here for the BOS Sports Podcast. Absolutely reeling as the Atlanta Hawks are on the verge of potentially being eliminated from the 2024 to 2025 NBA season, and the Atlanta Braves are now 5-13 to start the MLB season, dropping Spencer Strider's season debut today while tying a franchise record with 19 strikeouts versus the Blue Jays in a 3-1 loss. It's their second consecutive series. And aforementioned, they are now 5-13 to start the season. Things have been tough as nails for Atlanta sports fans since March 2022, when Freddie Freeman officially left the Atlanta Braves, ending the 2021 World Series championship celebration. So last night, the Orlando Magic secured a decisive 120-95 victory over Atlanta Hawks in the first game of the NBA play-in tournament. April 15th of 2025, earning the Eastern Conference's 7th seed, playing the Boston Celtics in round one of the NBA playoffs there in the Eastern Conference. It was the Cole Anthony game for the Orlando Magic, as he led the Magic with 26 points and 6 assists off the bench, while Paolo Banchero contributed 17 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Wendell Carter Jr., 19 points, 7 rebounds, and Anthony Black also scored 16 points additionally. For the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young led the team with 28 points and 6 assists, but he was ejected late in the fourth quarter after a second technical foul. There was some controversy on one of the technical fouls he was assessed, with many stating that it was unwarranted. Zachary Riche, in his first NBA playoff game, he had 7 points and 2 for 10 shooting from the field, 1 for 5 from three-point land with 3 rebounds, no assists, no turnovers. Tough shooting day for Zachary Riche, as the Orlando Magic were playing a very physical brand of basketball. The Atlanta Hawks have not quite seen as much in recent months here in the regular season. Dyson Daniels as well, he had 7 points, 3 for 8 shooting from the field. Onyeka Okongwu, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 5 for 10 shooting. Mo Gay had a nice 12-point, 8-rebound night, 5 for 5 shooting from field. He struggled a little bit from free throw line, shooting 2 for 5. Off the bench, Georges Niang, he had a bench high of 15 points, 3 rebounds, a little bit of tough shooting day, 5 for 11 from the field, 1 for 4 from three-point land. 4 for 4, perfect day for Georges Niang, the veteran at the free throw line, clutch in the playoff. The rest of the bench, the Hawks bench, really struggled, to say the least. Caris LeVert, 3-11 shooting from the field, 27.3%. Dom Barlow, 1 for 3 on field goals. Terrence Mann, 0 for 5, 2 points, both on free throws. He had a perfect day as well at the free throw line, clutch in the playoffs, but tough day for Terrence Mann with 0 for 5 from the field. Pete Krejci, in just under 7 minutes played, 0 points and a turnover. Ineffective versus the Magic in last night's game. The Atlanta Hawks were not quite prepared for the level of physicality that is NBA playoff basketball. The whistle was certainly generous in the Orlando Magic favor, as was documented pretty well on social media. But every team that contends for an NBA title will face games or even whole series where they see lopsided officiating against them in their favor, with very rare exception. And this is the beauty of the Atlanta Hawks seeing the play-in tournament this year, having that comeback, those clutch trades with securing a bit more depth at the trade deadline with Georges Niang, Caris LeVert, and Terrence Mann, going on that big run in March, securing a spot in play-in tournament. This is key for the Hawks' development to see this, as the young developing core and Zachary Riche, Dyson Daniels, Mo Gay, Pete Krejci, and Onyeka Okongwu, they can all get a taste of what they need to do this upcoming offseason to physically prepare themselves for what is hopefully a deep playoff run in 2026 and Trae Young's last contracted year. He, of course, has a player option for the following season. They will have a chance to face the Miami Heat or Chicago Bulls Friday night, secure the 8th seed, and make the 2025 NBA playoffs. The Atlanta Hawks do. As for the Orlando Magic, who beat the Hawks last night, they looked really sharp versus the Hawks, much more organized than we've seen them for most of the season. They had a nice shooting day from the field as well. But as they go on to face the Boston Celtics, who I think don't make not enough people recognize them as being one of the all-time great teams, super teams this century, along with the KD Warriors, LeBron James Heat, Tim Duncan Spurs, Shaq, and Kobe Bryant Lakers. I would rank this Boston Celtics team with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis as an all-time super team of this century, up with those teams. And I don't think they quite get enough credit for that, or enough benefit of the doubt. With their team record, of course, they're second in the Eastern Conference. I don't see this Orlando Magic team taking the Celtics to many games in this series. I think it'll be much different from last year, with Kristaps Porzingis healthy this year. Of course, the Orlando Magic, they took the Celtics to full series last season, but I don't see the Magic having more than 2 home games this year with Kristaps Porzingis. I think it'll be the answer in the paint versus Magic that the Celtics a little bit lacked last season. As well, you see Luke Cornett, he's stepping up a little bit more comfortable with that backup role. So back to Hawks Magic from last night. Of course, this podcast will look at 3 key stats, whether or not a team wins basketball game. And of course, that's field goal percentage, rebounding, and turnover margin. Let's see how I did. Magic, they won 52.7% in field goal percentage to the Atlanta Hawks 43.2%. Rebounding 46 to the Atlanta Hawks 38. As well, turnovers, they dominated that margin as well. As you can see in a blowout victory like this, might see all the team sweep all 3 categories, as the Orlando Magic did, having 12 turnovers compared to the Atlanta Hawks 22. In addition to that, the Orlando Magic had 31 points off turnovers compared to the Hawks 16. Other interesting stats, as noted in the broadcast last night, the Hawks missed some free throws. I believe 7. The 3-point percentage as well. The Hawks did not have a very great 3-point shooting day as well. The Orlando Magic, the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, they shot 12 for 32, good for 37.5% last night. As well, the Orlando Magic won the assist game 28-22, the points in the paint game 62-44, and the fast breaks points 18, the Hawks 12. Aforementioned Trae Young was ejected at the 4-minute 47 mark, left the game. The controversy probably shouldn't have been assessed one of those technical fouls, but in a game like this, gotta stay in the game. The Hawks were blown out at that point. The Orlando Magic, they led by as much as 29 points that time, at that point. So getting ejected at that point probably did not affect the trajectory of the Magic win at that point. So we've as well been tracking the draft status of the Atlanta Hawks. They contain potentially 2 first-round 2025 draft picks. Looking forward to next year. Hopefully they build a contending NBA championship contending roster with Jalen Johnson coming back and the rest of the core, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Shea, all looking so stellar at the end of the season. Sacramento Kings draft pick will be determined the next tonight. I'll check on that in just a little bit as we take a break here in a moment. Sacramento Kings, if they win tonight, it's secure. It will secure the Atlanta Hawks draft pick of the Kings there, as a combination of Kings victory and Miami Heat or Chicago Bulls loss will place the Kings no lower than 13th worst in the NBA, securing the Atlanta Hawks draft pick of the Kings in 2025. The play-in tournament determines and supersedes record in the NBA and determines the final draft picks at the end of the lottery. And up until the 16th pick, outside of the play-in tournament, if the Sacramento Kings do lose tonight, the Hawks transfer of the Kings 2025 draft pick could be in peril. Of course, it's protected selections 1 through 12. And just to go through that scenario, as the Atlanta Hawks and Sacramento Kings are both tied record-wise to end the NBA season. The Atlanta Hawks, they had a better conference record. So if both the Sacramento Kings and Atlanta Hawks are both ousted out of these 2025 playoffs, the Atlanta Hawks will finish above the Sacramento Kings in the league-wide standings, potentially compromising that draft pick going back to the Sacramento Kings. Very interesting scenario. Definitely going to be watching tonight. Not only see who the Atlanta Hawks play Friday night, but if the Sacramento Kings win tonight. As with the Sacramento Kings win, pretty much secures the Atlanta Hawks ownership of the Sacramento Kings 2025 NBA draft pick. So going to the Atlanta Braves here. Tough start, aforementioned, for Atlanta Braves. 5 for 13 on the season. After today's 3-1 loss, Spencer Strider's return. Two of the top stories in Major League Baseball this season are, of course, the return of Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna Jr. to the Atlanta Braves. Spencer Strider, he had a nice return back. His final line was 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. He did have 13 swing and misses as well. We'll get to all those stats and more in just a moment. This is the BOS Sports Podcast. So after 5 innings, Spencer Strider went into the top of the 6th inning, gave up a 412-foot home run to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., his second earned run of the day, as well his 5th hit that he allowed that day as well. And the next batter walked Anthony Santander. Brian Snitker takes him out. Anthony Santander gets forced out second base, fielder's choice there. Spencer Strider's final line on the day: 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Of course, his final batter face in Anthony Santander. 1 home run, of course, his second to last batter in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. A little bit was made on social media about his fastball velocity. It's at about 95 as the broadcast crew reported in game. He's looking to tail back a little bit on that velo. First coming back from injury. And with 13 whiffs, swing and misses, that Spencer Strider generated. Second most in the game, of course, to the Blue Jays starter Chris Bassett, who had 14. Spencer Strider, he looked pretty good this game, I thought. He had an absolutely devastating slider. His slider looked absolutely wipeout stuff. And to me, kind of a little bit comparable to Dylan Cease. And I think we can be pretty positive, encouraged by what we saw by Spencer Strider today, despite having a little bit lower fastball velo than what we're used to, upper 90s. I think they'll certainly uptick as long as he makes it healthy to October. We'll see upper 90s Spencer Strider, along with that off-seed stuff, curveball, slider, and the changeup, which he only throws to right-handed hitters, at least today. Nice mix of pitches, and not concerned about his fastball velo until the Braves tell us otherwise with his health, unless there's some kind of health issue. We didn't see any major drops. We saw a little bit 94 point whatevers. but mostly sat around 95 miles per hour, so not very concerned about his fastball velo. He did get up to 97 pitches. I did feel like he could potentially be pulled earlier, but of course with the Braves bullpen woes, Brian Snitker, his hand is a little bit forced. And of course, they don't have any concerns with him coming back. He did have what they considered a full spring training warm-up, including to the rehab starts in AAA, where he looked absolutely stellar. Next team, he's likely going to face the Cardinals next. I don't think we'll just a Tuesday today. He might make the series. We got the series starters for the Twins: Bryce Elder, Chris Sale, and Grant Holmes. So Spencer Strider will be facing the Cardinals next week. So back to today's game. Chris Bassett, 5 innings scoreless for the Blue Jays, allowing only 1 hit. Striking out 10 batters, matching his career high. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit his first home run of the season, of course, in the 6th inning. And huge part of what eventually was that 3-1 victory, of course, after the Drake Baldwin home run, his first of his career, in 9th inning off Jeff Hoffman. That could have been a little bit dicey for Blue Jays, looking at this Braves lineup, potential for home runs at any time. 2-1. Home runs, yes, especially without runners on bases. 2025 Atlanta Braves team. So, solo shot, as we mentioned, for Drake Baldwin off of Jeff Hoffman, his first in the career. Sean Murphy and Eli White, the only 2 Braves with a hit today, as the rest of the lineup today, no hits. Marcell Ozuna, he remains out day-to-day for the Braves with optimism reported from the ball club that he'll be back for the Minnesota Twins series this weekend. The Atlanta Braves, they face the next 2 teams, Minnesota Twins and not Arizona, that's football. St. Louis Cardinals at home, who are both also struggling mightily. Twins are one of the worst league in my power rankings yesterday. I believe I had them below the Braves. So hopefully a bounce back series for the Braves incoming as well. They're facing starter has an ERA so far this season over 9. Of course, that helps a little bit with Bryce Elder on the mound. We're going to see, aforementioned, that's Chris Paddock of the Twins. His ERA is 9.49 so far this season. Bryce Elder's is just a little bit under that. So Chris Sale and Grant Holmes are the starters next 2 days, aforementioned. Pitching and bullpen today's game. Toronto's relievers were very effective after Chris Bassett's exit. Hoffman, of course, he led up the home run to Drake Baldwin. Brendan Little, Nick Sadlin, coming out of Toronto. Scoreless frames for them. The Blue Jays, aforementioned, podcast MLB season debut preview podcast I did a few weeks ago. The Toronto Blue Jays, they have a very solid bullpen. Their questions are with that starting rotation. Of course, we saw one of those questionable starters Monday night when the Braves had the blowout victory. The Atlanta Braves going in tomorrow have an off day before the Twins victory, looking to regroup and having 2 straight series at home, 6 straight games, Twins and Cardinals. So to recap, looking at this season so far and some of our hitters so far, of course, the Atlanta Braves are hosting the 2025 MLB All-Star Game. Right now, we're wondering, especially after Spencer Schwellenbach's disappointing game last night, will the Atlanta Braves even have a All-Star this year? Previously, we're hoping after Spencer Schwellenbach's amazing start this season that he would certainly be a lock to be starter in the 2025 All-Star Game, if not the starter of the game. Pitcher is. So, Austin Riley, so far this season, 18 games, he's played all of them. Batting .284, not so bad. 321 on-base percentage, 541 slugging percentage, 862 OPS. Of course, what the hang-up for Austin Riley has been situational hitting as well. Austin Riley, he does have 5 home runs and 12 RBIs. Sean Murphy in 8 games played, just coming back. He has a .205 batting average, .324 on base percentage. A few home runs. Marcell Ozuna, of course, in a few games missed. Looks like I'm going to have to take a quick pause here. This is the BOS Sports Podcast. All right, we're back. Marcell Ozuna in 15 games played. Of course, he's been out a few games here. Toronto series with that leg injury. Hoping he's coming back Friday night versus the Twins at home. 49 at-bats. Hitting .306 so far. .477 on base percentage. .531 slugging percentage. 8 RBIs. Michael Harris, the second. 18 games. Played all of them so far. .179 average. Ooh. 12 hits. 6 RBIs, 2 home runs. Matt Olson, he's played all 18 games so far. 13 hits, batting .203. A .338 on base percentage, not so bad. .344 slugging percentage. Ooh. 2 home runs so far. Drake Baldwin, he had a little bit of a tough start of the year, but of course with Sean Murphy back, he's now playing limited action. Tonight he had his home run, and he's batting .216. He raised his batting average from 0 to start the season to a nice, respectable .216 above the Mendoza line in limited action. So we see a positive trend to Drake Baldwin's bat here. 8 hits so far. Of course, a home run tonight. A .293 on base percentage. A little bit concerned there. Jared Kelenic, 13 and 17 games. Really struggling with the .146 batting average, 6 hits and 41 plate appearances, 1 home run. He did have that homer, but with a .244 slugging percentage, with that .239 on base percentage. The Atlanta Braves, with the absence of Jerks and Profar, really reeling in the outfield position. As well, Brian De La Cruz, he's under the Mendoza line with the .191 average, .240 on base percentage, .213 slugging percentage, 9 hits, no home runs, no RBIs. The Atlanta Braves shortstop core as well has a combined 2 RBIs. Nick Allen does have a .306 batting average, 11 hits and 36 ABs, which makes the question, why does... Anyways, 9 strikeouts, .342 on base percentage, .703 OPS. Orlando Arcia, who started today, he did have a couple hits, or a hit today at least. .222 batting average, .250 on base percentage, .259 slugging percentage. Newly acquired Stuart Fairchild, he's hitting a .063 with 1 hit and 16 at bats with a home run. Solo home run. Jerkson Profar, he had 4 games with 3 hits before being suspended. Chadwick Trump, 2 games before being DFA'd. I believe he's now with Orioles organization. Eli White, 12 games, 4 hits and 17 at-bats, 3 walks, a .350 on base percentage. Eli White's been putting up some decent at-bats here. Moving on to the pitching, Chris Sale, he's certainly putting up all-star numbers. He could potentially be an all-star despite having 2 losses. No victories so far for Chris Sale, despite having .263 ERA in 4 games, as well having 24 strikeouts. He is allowing a .313 average to hitters, which is a little bit concerning. Spencer Schwellenbach, even after Tuesday night's implosion, his ERA is still a very fine .225 on the year, and 4 games started with 6 earned runs. He is as well averaging below a 1 whip with a .71, and his average of opponents' batting average is a 182. AJ Smith-Shawver, he was not DFA'd. He was optioned to AAA Gwinnett. Corresponding move with Spencer Strider coming back. I have a feeling we'll see AJ Smith-Shawver again in not too long. I think early summer would be a good aim for him to come back, have some starts in AAA, work out some stuff, get some rest, come back fresh in June with a little bit more command on that off-speed stuff and fastball as well. And I think AJ Smith-Shawver would be a very solid option to pick up that 5 spot in the Braves rotation. They'll do something with Bryce Elder. It'll be interesting to see what. So, Grant Holmes as well for the Braves. Stellar Monday night performance. His ERA so far in the year, 3.78 in 4 games. With 15 strikeouts and a 0.54 whip. A lot of efficient innings for Grant Holmes so far this year. Well, his opponent's batting average is a slim 161 on the year. So we're looking at the batters, and potential all-star candidates. Looking at Marcell Ozuna early on. Austin Riley, of course, a knock from us fans. Those who have followed the team, might be his situational hitting a bit. But as long as the numbers are there and MLB voters are clipping a 282 average with, whatever else he's got there, he's probably going to be in. Marcell Ozuna as well with his above 300 average. Looking like a strong candidate there at DH. Of course, with Shohei Ohtani, he'll probably be the starter. Aniel De Los Santos for the Braves. Going back to pitching here. In 7 games pitched, he has a 4.05 ERA. As well, he has 11 strikeouts, 1.35 whip, and a 2.96 opponent's batting average. The Braves are really struggling the bullpen front. We'll talk here in just a second. A couple of potential options the Braves could look at, including from the team we're about to look at. Aaron Bummer going through the relievers as well. Supposed to be one of the better Braves relievers in the bullpen. Struggling this year with a 5.68 ERA in 6 games, 9 strikeouts. Pierce Johnson as well, supposed to be a high leverage A side of the bullpen guy. 6.35 ERA, 8 strikeouts. Bryce Elder, who's starting tomorrow night, 7.20 ERA with 4 home runs, giving up 300 opponents' batting average. Raisel Iglesias, he struggled some, including giving up a game the other night versus the Rays with a 4.50 ERA so far this year. 7 strikeouts. He does have a nice 0.83 whip, so much hope for Raisel Iglesias to turn around. Isabel Hernandez, he pitched today. 3.38 ERA so far this season. 5 strikeouts in 8 games. Dylan Lee, 3.52 ERA, 0.78 whip. With 5 strikeouts. He's looked mostly good so far this year. He is, I would say, a contact pitcher. So, Braves need a little bit more looks in the bullpen. Certainly need high leverage looks, certainly need high velocity looks. You look at some of their names that they tried to add. Hector Neris had an ERA of 45. And, of course, he is DFA'd, but the Braves, they just really neglected this bullpen this offseason. And it's pretty egregious. It's not fun to look at these stats here of all these bullpen arms they've gone through. Jose Suarez has been one very positive so far development with the trade of Ian Anderson for Jose Suarez from the Angels. In 3 games so far, he has 2.45 ERA, 7.1 innings pitched, with a 0.41 whip and a 136 opponent's batting average. A pretty good trade there. I was speculating in the preseason blogcast, I think on to now, potentially looking at Ian Anderson in the bullpen. Like to potentially see that, but trading for Jose Suarez appears to have been a better decision so far. So the Braves continue to reel after the 0-7 start, and losing Jurickson Profar to the PED suspension. At this time, appearing that the lineup without Jerkson Profar, good on base percentage, clip, bat to ball skills, all that, not properly constructed to win baseball games versus the above or below 500 teams, unless we're looking at teams like the Rockies, or teams are just in total despair, like the White Sox and maybe the Twins. We're seeing one of those potentially total despair teams this weekend. So hopefully the Braves have a nice bounce back, sweet weekend. As fans, we have to hope the team can get on a bit of hot streak, move a bit closer to 500, so the front office can believe enough in the team to make a couple moves in May, as bottom feeder teams like the Rockies and Red Sox move out of contention. White Sox, not Red Sox, move out of contention. Although we did see, of course, Luis Arias was traded in early May last season, so the Braves need to be looking at these teams like the Rockies and White Sox and what players could potentially be a Luis Arias pickup for them in early May, as that really helped the Padres turn around their season last year. Kyle Farmer is one player, interesting. He has, of course, signed a one-year deal with the Rockies in the offseason. Why didn't the Braves do that? Good question. But for right now, he's having a good start for his season. But we do have to be a little bit wary about small sample sizes, as we saw Isaac Paredes. He became an all-star last season after a very hot first half. Got traded to the Cubs. Did not play so well, at least batting-wise. Now with the Astros having a tough start to the season, being involved in two blockbuster trades, and not quite having the same production as he did in the first half of 2024 with the Rays. Tampa Rays, that's where they're from. Where will the Tampa Rays move? That's a very interesting question. I've always said, why not move them to Nashville and name them after another aquatic creature? They have the Cumberland River there. They have fish there, some kinds of bass. White bass is very common there. Then they could have all those play on word jokes with bass and fish and musical instruments, all that. Potential consideration for the Tampa Bay Rays as they look at their own city and them not building them a new stadium. So back to the Braves. The Braves this weekend are seeing a very interesting team, potentially in a trade partner in the Minnesota Twins, and a team that could be a likely seller as early as May. Certainly have interesting players in Joan Duran, Cole Sands, and Luis Varland. All interesting relievers who'd fix the Braves bullpen woes. Although for the Twins, the main culprit of their struggle so far this season is offense. Common problem with the Braves. We're going to visit and talk about all that and more in just a second. This is the BOS Sports Podcast. So breaking in with this quick update, the Miami Heat have a 15-point lead over the Chicago Bulls. Playing tournament 78-63. They're in that game. Certainly monitoring that as the Hawks will face one of those teams. Well, looking forward to the Sacramento Kings game tonight. Hopefully they win, securing the Hawks ownership of the Sacramento Kings 2025 draft pick. As well, going back here to the Braves versus Twins this weekend, looking at some interesting players for the Twins, potential trade partner. They certainly have some interesting relievers there. Joan Duran, Cole Sands, Luis Varland. Their offense, the Twins' offense, main culprit there. Their struggles so far this season. The Atlanta Braves are right there with them. The Braves are 11th worst in the league as standing now in average. The Twins are 8th. The Braves are 5th worst in the league in runs batted in RBIs. Twins are 11th worst. The Braves are 3rd in the league in strikeouts. Probably the most haunting stat. And of course, they had 19, tying a franchise record today. Twins are 11th. Looking at the Twins roster, not many of their batters are having a good year. Harrison Bader is having a resurgent season after signing a one-year contract in the offseason. Might be an enticing trade target for the Braves to replace Jurickson Profar for the season. Of course, he's suspended for only 80 games. He'll return this season, but he is exempt and suspended, ineligible for the 2025 MLB playoffs. So want to have a bat to replace him with the prospects of Jared Kelenic and Brian De La Cruz really not working out. We're likely to see Alex Verdugo come up here from the minor leagues at some point, but having got him on a minor league contract with all the rest of the teams, passing up on Alex Verdugo as positive and hopeful as I am for him having a resurgent season here with the Braves, we certainly cannot depend on that. So looking here in the early May season, if there's an outfielder available from one of these bottom dweller teams, such as Harrison Bader with the Twins, the Braves have to look at making a move if they have any hope of contending this year for anything significant as far as playoffs, division, anything like that. So it's been a tough start to the Atlanta Braves season. Atlanta Hawks were monitoring these games here tonight, see what's going on with them Friday night. Hopefully their season extends to facing Cleveland Cavaliers. First round NBA playoffs would be great for the Atlanta Hawks players to see at least another 4, 5, 6, 7 games, maybe more, of playoff caliber physicality in action. Of course, without getting injured, keeping their health as well, going the off season, seeing what they need to do conditioning wise, getting those equations done of what they need to do in muscular strength compared to angles and stuff like that. Do those calculations, do the work, come into 2025-2026 season, and make it a long playoff run next year with your 2 draft picks, hopefully from the Kings and from the Lakers. So this has been a very interesting episode of the BOS Sports Podcast. Be sure to listen, watch, stream previous episodes of BOS Sports Podcast, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully Friday after Friday night's Hawks versus Heat or Chicago Bulls game. Right now it's looking like Hawks versus Heat, Friday night, State Farm Arena for the 8th seed, the last spot of the Eastern Conference 2025 playoffs. So here we go, back from August 30th. My trip to Philadelphia, seeing Phillies, Braves, August 30th, a game which the Braves won 7-2. 6-pitch, Joe Jimenez to Bryce Harper here. The bottom of the 8th inning, 1-2 pitch, fouled off, 87-mile-an-hour slider. Bryce Harper had a 10-pitch at-bat. We're really going to miss Joe Jimenez in 2025. Of course, he was announced last fall, being announced out for the year. Here comes a 7-pitch, 2-2. Slider down, ball. And here comes the 8th pitch to Bryce Harper. Joe Jimenez in 2024 had a 2.62 ERA, a sub-1 whip with 0.99, and 68.2 innings pitched. Another ball, 3-2. Count. To Bryce Harper, fastball up, 95.8 miles an hour. Really wish the Braves would sign another high-leverage righty. There's still Kyle Finnegan, Luis Garcia out there for the Braves here on this date of February 12th, 2025. 9th pitch to Bryce Harper, 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And it was an absolutely brilliant inning by Joe Jimenez. He'd get 3 out of the 4 batters faced out. Including there's, I believe, a fan ran on the field. So here Bryce Harper goes up the middle to Michael Harris, center field, base hit. So here's another video from that night. Interesting thing that the Phillies did. They had an Elvis entertainer there. Don't have much comments for this. was a nice, cool night there. A windy breeze. It's nice being in Philadelphia. Cool air, cool weather. I'd like to go back there. Citizens Bank Park in the summer heat of Atlanta in the August. Perfect weather to eat, drink outside. It's a cool 60-ish degrees. Can even dip into the upper 50s a little bit. Get a little bit nippy, but it's a nice change of pace from the summer heat, the 90s, 100s of Atlanta. Here you see the bullpen chilling out there. I'm sure they enjoy cooling off a little bit. Here's Brian Snitker, the Braves dugout. You can see Max Fried. Miss him. Marcell Ozuna at bat, wearing the yellow protective gear. Grant Holmes, we'll see what kind of year he has for Atlanta Braves this season. And here's some pictures from April. And here's AJ Smith's shopper from 2023. We'll see if he continues to grow. He's been really growing athletically. Ronald Acuna Jr., hope he comes back strong this year. So here we go. Dodgers Braves, September 16th. Had to go. Tickets were inexpensive. Shohei Ohtani, Max Fried. Hits it up the middle. Whit Merrifield comes home. Miguel Rojas is safe. Part of a 9-0 Dodgers defeat over the Braves. Hope the Braves have more success over the Dodgers in 2025. And here as well some more pictures from my trip to Philadelphia, late August. Aforementioned, that weather was nice. Michael Harris had that absolute highlight catch. Did not get that on video, unfortunately.